Oh, nice to be back with you. Welcome back to the Earle Wellbeing Instagram live if you're watching me live, and hi if you're watching me on catch up, because we always save these to catch up. Now you are joining me today from the Lake District. So, yep, all of those who got it right, I put a little picture of my view on my stories on Liz Earle Me a little bit earlier today. Lots of guesses, lots of good guesses. Wales, Scotland, quite a few for Lake District. So really lovely to be up here. I'm going to be doing some really fun things. So follow me along in my stories a little bit later on today. I'm actually going to be doing something that I'm going to be needing this for. Yeah, so maybe you can guess what it is. This actually has just arrived. This is from a really great British female founder brand called Davy J. And this is their Zero swimsuit, new Zero swimsuit made of recycled sustainable fibre. It has absolutely zero environmental impact. Really interesting. So does it fit? Well, we'll see. Stay tuned for that one. Anyway, looking forward to that, and really looking forward to today because, as I mentioned earlier this week, I'm going to be doing a deep dive with another fab female founder talking all about CBD, and I know there's been so much interest in that. Do you take CBD? Is that something that has come onto your radar recently? Are you interested in it? Are you concerned about it? Are you thinking, yeah, maybe this is interesting for pain or anxiety, for sleep? So many benefits. In fact, we wrote a really great feature in the current issue of Liz Earle Wellbeing magazine. If you've got your copy, you'll find it on page 30. This is called Can CBD Help with Menopause Symptoms, written by a really great woman who I did an Instagram. No, I didn't. Did I do an Instagram live with? Yes, I think I did. And a podcast called Mary Biles. She's written a brilliant book actually on CBD. If you want more detailed information, she literally just called the CBD book. That's her book there. Really fascinating stuff. She's a great lady. And it's something that I've been very interested in just because it seems to have so many health benefits. And also there are very interesting studies looking at all kinds of health-related issues. We know about using cannabis for things like epilepsy and chronic pain, something that Lily's been investigating in. So for those of you who follow Lily Earle Official and her autoimmune journey and talking about pain, she's certainly had a lot of relief from it. So it's definitely worth investigating. But of course, that's the medical stuff. What we're talking about here is the natural over-the-counter stuff that you can buy readily. It doesn't have the THC, which is the kind of psychedelic property. It has the CBD, which is the cannabidiol, which is also super interesting and actually shown to have an effect because we have these CBD receptors all over our bodies, including our brain. So that's how it works. So I'm really looking forward to having a deep dive into it. So let's get cracking. Thanks for all your lovely messages. Nice to see you. Where are you joining me from? Anybody up here in the Lake District, I wonder? Got some nice sunshine. If I can see a few little sunbeams coming into the screen here, I think that's always a good sign, always a good omen, don't you think, when you get some sunbeams? Right, so Michelle Rust is from this great brand called Potique. She's got a very interesting story to tell, so we're going to be hearing her brand founder journey. And as usual, as with all the great brands, they stem from a personal need, somebody who's highly invested in doing something in the right way and producing a great product. Of course, we have a Liz Loves. So for anybody who's interested, who wants to try it, we have 20% off at Potique. That's Potyque, Potique. But before we join with Michelle, let me just get Lainey from my team. So Lainey is going to be the moderator here from Liz Earle Wellbeing. So if you've got any questions about the magazine, about the website, about our newsletters, any of that, then Lainey is your person. And of course, talking about CBD, it's going to be Michelle. So let's have a little look here. There we go. And I will keep an eye on questions. So if you've got them, pop them on the comments and we will see if we can crack through as many of those as possible because I think it's going to be a very, very interesting half hour. Hello, Michelle. Very
Hello.
nice. Oh, my
Thank you for having
goodness.
me
Lovely to
on.
have you with us. Where are you talking to us from? Oh, not too
So
far.
I'm in Yorkshire. It is not too far at all.
Yes.
It is really sunny here as well. Um, what
Do
we
you
do
know,
with the
every time,
Lake
I don't come up here
District.
very often, and every time I do, I just think, gosh, why don't I come more often? Because it's really beautiful. I've been around sort of Ambleside and all that area, Lake Windermere. And I was hearing actually it's the largest lake in the UK. It's amazing. Really, really
Yes,
beautiful.
it
So
is.
yeah, if you want a
Yes,
mini break, I highly recommend the Lake District. So let's talk about you. I said that you have
absolutely.
an interesting backstory here as a founder. How did you come to be involved and so interested in CBD?
Gosh. So
Mhm.
I'm now 51 years old, but I started to go through the menopause relatively early. So I was just kind of about 41, 42 years old, and I was definitely in the menopause. Um, my background is pharmaceuticals, so I spent 20 plus years in the pharmaceutical industry. My husband still works in the pharmaceutical industry, so we have an interest in all things medical, although he tends to do more research, whereas I'll be kind of usually heading a book or reading something unrelated completely. So I think at that time, he was struggling with me, struggling with the symptoms of the menopause. I had taken a number of natural supplements, which were fine. At that particular time, I'd chosen not to go on HRT, but that was kind of my own preference in the beginning. Um, and the more we were reading about CBD, he suggested that I try. So I did. And things were okay, you know, kind of different CBDs that were out there were okay. But I guess for me at the time, there was a lot of confusion around which CBD you should take, whether you should take an oil, whether you should take something like an edible. So I felt that there was a lot of confusion in the market. And also, um, I guess coming from a
Sure.
regulated market, which the pharmaceutical industry is, I felt that again there was a lot of kind of blurred lines in terms of kind of what was out there in the CBD market. So that kind of started really the journey of investigating, and from that, that led us to a European grower in Italy, um, and decided, well, why not just go ahead and
Yeah.
do something about this myself, create my own brand, and hopefully get the message across that isn't confused, that it is, you know, I guess I know how it helped me, and then trying to get that across to other people in the hope that they
Wonderful.
could get the benefit
Now,
too.
I've just seen that we may have a slight delay on the line. That does sometimes happen with Instagram, depending on the connections. So we'll just leave a little gap, yeah, between we speak, just so that we don't talk over each other. But that's the reason for it. I'm really fascinated by this. And obviously, this community here on Instagram, we have a lot of midlife women, we have a lot of perimenopausal and menopausal followers. So I think let's kind of dig into how the CBD can actually help with menopause symptoms, and of course whether it's safe to take alongside HRT, which I know many of us, you know, myself included, are also taking.
Okay. So I think it's important really to before I kind of delve into that, just to kind of explain really a little bit more about how regulated the market is,
Sure.
because I can't make claims about what CBD will do for any one other person. I can
Fine.
talk about my own story and how it benefits me. I can also talk about case studies of individuals that have tried Potique and what they say to us. So we're members of the Cannabis Trade Association, and we're members of that association because they're fighting to regulate the market so that other CBD businesses that are out there can't make claims that are unfounded. So that's kind of the first thing really. I know that at the beginning you mentioned that within each of us we have our own cannabinoid system. That was kind of only something that was founded in the early 90s during some research that was done. And as a result, kind of the receptors within our own bodies will pick up cannabinoids that enter our body in different ways. and they will go around our body and they will reach the right place. So for me, when I started taking Potique, I was in a situation with my menopause that I wasn't sleeping particularly well, because I was, whether it was anxiety or something was kind of keeping me from having those really good deep quality night's sleep. But also the hot flushes that you have, the brain fog, all of the usual symptoms that most people talk about. When I started taking Potique regularly, I found that I was able to have a really good night's sleep. So that was my own personal experience. And I had a really deep sleep, but I always woke up refreshed. So we know that with the Sleep Foundation, so research that they do, 10% of people globally struggle with sleep, but actually in the UK, 1 in 7 really struggle to function the next day if they have less than 5 hours sleep. So so huge numbers. And so that definitely affected, I was in that kind of 1 in 7. It definitely affected my activities at work at the time, functioning, not just doing the job that I did, but also I've got 2 children, I've got a house to kind of run as well. So I'm not alone. It's a typical story, I guess.
Interesting that you mention, as I did in the intro, about us having these cannabidioid, if that's the right word, receptors all over the body, because that's something that we don't really think about, but it's a natural thing. Our body is designed to receive CBD, which is fascinating, because do we get it from anywhere else? How come we have these receptors? Presumably if we've got receptors, it's because the body knows that it needs to get CBD from somewhere. But what's normally happening if we don't supplement?
So you have to remember that CBD is a supplement, and it is one of the oldest methods of remedies, because it is a natural plant. And so it is likely that, yes, it was only through the research that it came out that in the early 90s that we have these receptors, but that will have come from many, many years before.
And when we take it, let's just look at Potique, because I was very interested, and this is kind of the nitty gritty bit. We'll talk about how you take it and the oils, but this is, if you go onto the website, this is what you'll see. And we've got different strengths. We've got 5%, 10% and 20%. How do we know which one is right for us? And is there do we start at 5% and work up? What's the drill?
Okay.
Love
so
that.
You mentioned Mary Biles, who I also follow, and I go on her kind of different kind of online events that she holds. And really with CBD, you should start low and go slow. So if you've never had any exposure at all to taking CBD, I would start low. So for me, how I started was, on the side of the label, it will tell you that you should take 2 to 3 drops, 2 to 3 times a day. And those drops you take directly under your tongue. So I usually stand in front of the mirror, because then you can see exactly that a drop has come out, rather than the whole
Is it going to do you any harm if you by mistake take a little bit too much?
No, it's not. It's not. Really, in a day, you don't want to be taking any more than 20 drops in a day. So do you take it all in one go,
or is it something that you keep topping up throughout the day?
Okay, and again, that's down to personal preference. So for me, I take 2 or 3 drops under my tongue first thing in the morning. If I feel I need it, so in the early days, I would do the same at lunchtime, and I would also do the same in the evening before I went to bed. Now I take the 10% oil 3 drops in the morning,
right,
and 3 drops
how
at bedtime.
quickly before we can sense any difference?
Okay. So in 2021, we were very fortunate to win Indie Best for the best overall performer
Wow.
of CBD oils in the UK, time that was tested. And the testers within that group, they felt that the effects were
Gosh.
fairly immediate for them. And they were people with chronic conditions, long-lasting kind of anxieties, things like that. And they felt calm and less stressed. For me, when I take my Potique as I'm going to bed, I usually do a little bit of reading anyway before I go to bed, but then I tend to fall into quite a deep sleep.
And do you stay asleep? Because a lot of people can fall asleep, but then they find they're waking. It's not very deep. It's not very restful. Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
I love that.
Personally.
Do you know, Michelle, I love talking to you because you've got that background in big pharma. You've got that background in regulatory authority and kind of research. You're not going to make any outlandish claims. You know, you're going to very much stick to the rule book as to what we're allowed to say here. But it is extraordinary, the wide range of benefits. And I spoke a little bit earlier about my daughter Lily, who's had a very interesting journey actually with medical cannabis and CBD. And she gets stuff on prescription, which she's talked about on her Instagram channel. And when it comes to the CBD element, she has something that's actually prescribed for her because it's regulated. They know it works. It's, you know, it's kind of a doctor administered thing. But she had run out. And she said to me, and this is absolutely true, a couple of weeks ago, she said, oh, Mummy, you know, I don't have any. Do you have any? I said, well, you know, I've been sent various brands. But there's one really interesting one that I think is probably, you know, the gold standard. And because, you know, she's used to it, she went straight onto the high strength one because that's what her body is kind of geared towards. And she saw an immediate benefit. And I thought that's really interesting because this is somebody who is actually, you know, under a doctor and it's being monitored and she needs it for a medical condition and it is actually working. So this is not just some kind of, oh, well, you know, maybe it's a bit nice and a bit fancy and it'll just kind of take the edge off things. You know, this really is. I mean, for her, it was super helpful. And I'm sure you've got lots of testimonials you can share from people who are taking it for all sorts of things. People often take it for pain, don't they, for migraine?
They do. They do. So, kind of on the, I guess, as well as you would talk normally, I think something like it's so about 42-43% of CBD users in the UK use CBD oil for sleep. That's the number one, closely followed by anxiety. And so, yes, you've talked about the difference, I guess, between the supplement CBD oil versus the medicinal one. And the difference is in the UK that in order for us to be able to talk about Potique and to market it, we have to prove that we have less than 0.02% of THC within the oil. So within the medicinal version that you know you've just mentioned, there tends to be more of that THC, whereas actually when you're selling CBD oil as a supplement, you can't. You still need a little bit of THC because that is the part of the CBD oil that will help. You know, it certainly doesn't get you high. It's certainly, if you did a drug test, because that's what they're looking for in a drug test.
Okay, good.
You would never test positive. But 0.02% is enough just to help with that anxiety, maybe to take that edge off the pain or whatever else you are taking.
And I guess it's maybe a little bit like an adaptogenic herb, which we've talked about things like ashwagandha here before, in that you say that because we've got these receptors all over the body, all over our cells, your body kind of adapts to it and it uses it where it needs to use it. So if your issue is anxiety, stress, that feeling of overwhelm, if your issue is sleep disruption, your body kind of innately knows what it needs and it uses it for that. Is that a fair interpretation?
I believe so, and again, you know, there is so much research going on currently into CBD, and I guess that's also driven by the pharmaceutical companies that are looking at it from a medicinal point of view. I guess we're benefiting as well because we're learning. So talking about kind of that specific, I can't even say it, this being specific, where the receptors will go and they'll pick up the kind of oil, I guess, and they will take those chemicals into where it's most needed in the body. We know that, you know, now there's research into full spectrum CBD oil versus isolate. So where they're actually teasing out different parts of the extract of the plant, because they're looking at to see whether or not that particular extract will work on a particular problem area in the body. So that's all ongoing at the moment. So it's kind of still very much a long way to go.
And we've seen over the years now just such a massive increase in CBD brands. And I know that, you know, you are backed by science, you are backed by the best. Yours is not the cheapest. What makes yours better than others? How do you kind of promote it? You know, what makes you so certain that this is going to help people?
Okay. So a few things really. So when you're looking to choose a CBD oil, so I'm kind of not, I'm deliberately avoiding kind of the edibles and vaping. So if we're just literally looking at oils, for anybody that's kind of interested, they should do their research first. So for us, it's our certificate of analysis that sits on our website. It's very clearly visible on there, and that's analysis that's been completed independently by a laboratory in the UK. And what they have done is take each of our different strengths of oils, they've analysed them, and the certificate tells you exactly what is in each bottle. So we know that when we say 5% CBD or 10% or 20%, the analysis, the certificate proves that. From the THC point of view, again, we know that we have less than 0.02%. But also, you know, and this was backed up, and it depends whether you're used to reading that kind of level of data. But the feedback from the lab was that they congratulated us on how pure the product was. So that's kind of, that's definitely something that sets us apart from others. But again, you know, it's about that regulated market. I would double check that the individuals or the companies are maybe perhaps part of the Cannabis Trade Association, because you know then it's regulated. I would also, probably more importantly, the Food Standards Agency have decided to put recognised brands on their novel food list. And so if you're not on the novel food list moving forward, you shouldn't be actively selling your CBD.
Interesting. Good to know that there are some safeguards. Now, there are some questions that are coming in here, which I will pick up on. A lot of chat about any kind of contraindications. Is it safe if you've got high blood pressure, if you're on medication? And, you know, could it be potentially helpful? But let's talk to the safety issue first.
Okay. So I'm not a healthcare practitioner. I would always say that, you know, if you haven't had any exposure at all to CBD, perhaps mention that to either your doctor or your nurse. However, you know, there are a number of herbalists and naturopaths around the country and alternative therapy consultants who actively recommend the use of CBD. In terms of safety, it is a plant. It comes from a plant. It is a supplement. It isn't a prescribed medication. However, you did mention about blood pressure there. So really, if you are on a medication that has a warning against
Oh,
grapefruit, they call it
I've
the
heard about
grapefruit
that. I've actually
warning.
heard about it in relation to antihistamines.
Okay, so it's believed that grapefruit, the chemicals within the
Yeah.
grapefruit emit an enzyme. It can heighten or increase the amount of that
Ooh.
drug that goes into the system. And so with that, I would always say, if you're on a
Right.
drug that has a
Yeah,
grapefruit
yeah.
warning,
Very
just double check.
interesting. That's fascinating. And in terms of who could be taking it, I mean, obviously, you know, I think pregnancy is definitely something that, you know, you should talk to your doctor about,
Yeah,
or
we
your
would.
midwife or whatever. But I know people, for example, I've got one friend who always buys it for her mum, because her mum has said that it's really helped her specifically with joint pain, for example. And it seems to be something that all ages could benefit from. You know, could the elderly benefit? Is it something that could help youngsters with anxiety too? Is there any kind of age constraints here?
Okay. It
Mm.
is for all people. In terms of under 18s, so again,
Yeah.
from the medical side, the pharmaceutical side, there's usually a question mark of whether or
Sure.
not drugs can be given to children 18 and younger. So that's not something I would actively
Yeah.
encourage anybody to just go and do it. That's not to say that there are people I
Yeah.
know that are on
Right. And
Potique, my own
how old are
children
they?
included. So, and so my son is 16. He's doing
Great.
his GCSEs currently.
Wow.
He's on Potique, and our daughter is 18.
Interesting. Really
So
interesting. And
yeah,
actually, talking about the 18-year-old and talking about young women in particular, there is also, and I know people in America who are looking at this, using CBD for conditions like PMS and gynecological conditions, endometriosis, you know, all sorts. There's very interesting research going on into that.
yes. And we won Indie Best in 2022 for Potique with
Really?
menstruation symptoms. So the feedback on the users and why we were awarded the Indie Best was
Yeah,
because they felt their symptoms were
fascinating.
controlled. So the symptoms, as you know,
Yeah,
can be so widespread, from pain, from mood, from sleep, whatever the
yeah.
hormone imbalance is for that individual. But the testers felt that
Love
they
it.
actually had a
Love it.
response from
Michelle, where
Potique.
can people contact you if they want more information into this? I mean, obviously, I mentioned Mary Biles's brilliant article. I have to say, if you want kind of general information on CBD, that's in our current issue. Where can people contact you and Potique specifically?
Okay. So follow me on either
Mm-hmm.
Instagram or on Facebook. Quite regularly, we'll put notices on there of how to contact me, because I have
Yeah,
offered up so many times and to different people that, you know, I love to
yeah,
hear
yeah.
everybody's story. And so there's a free consultation there if people do want to talk to me
Brilliant.
about the specifics of their own story. So yeah, Potique CBD.
Yeah.
Give me a follow and yeah, connect through that. Message me, and I will
Fantastic.
definitely get
Do you know,
back
it's
to
such a
you.
joy to talk to you. It's fascinating. I'm sure it's a subject that we're going to return to again and again. I feel that we've just kind of touched, scratched the surface, if you like. And I think this is something that is proving to be so beneficial for so many different reasons. Thank you for our discount. We do have a 20% Liz Loves off the Potique range on your website. And maybe for those interested, go take a look. Maybe treat yourself to a little bit of the 5%. Start with that, and let us both know. Love to hear how this journey goes. And congrats on all your awards. And thank you for being with us today. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of your
Yeah,
time in
I'm
the Lake
excited.
District. I'm very
Thank you
pleased.
so much. Lovely to see you. Thanks. You have to click
Thank
the
you.
little square now
Bye.
to leave us, but really, really appreciate it. Best of luck
Thank
with
you.
everything. So fascinating. And, you know, as I said before, everything here that we do that has the kind of the little Liz Loves, if you like, a stamp of approval is genuinely loved and is backed by evidence with a great brand story, something that you can trust. And as I say, it's not the cheapest, but actually price does not always equal value. If you're going to buy something, let's buy something that's actually going to work. Okay. So I love the packaging, Michelle. Really, really pretty. Lovely. So that's Putty. Love to hear your stories. Do leave a comment when I post this afterwards. Love to hear about how you're getting on with CBD, or if you've tried Putty in particular. Something else that you are absolutely loving, and if we're getting some more sunshine, this might be really interesting for many of us in the community, and that's the he-she tanning. So this is self-tan. I've got a little bit on myself. This is the one that I am absolutely loving. It's called the Gold Foaming Mousse. And I'm going to show you, I'll show you on a tissue, because otherwise it does, of course, tan. And I'm not going to wash it off immediately, which is what you'd need to do if you were applying it. But look how easy that is. That is a really fantastic, lightweight mousse, which you just stroke over your skin, and it doesn't turn you orange. You don't get tangoed. You just develop this really lovely, gentle golden glow. So if you're getting your legs out and you're feeling a bit pasty, absolutely love it. This was a great fab female founder brand, of course, based in Ireland. And we do have 20% off. I'm just double checking that. Yes, he-she, which is he-shi, he-she, and the website is he-she.eu. Liz loves 20% off the whole range. They've got brilliant things. They've got gradual tanners. They've got overnight tanning creams for the face, for the legs. They've got tan remover in case you get something wrong. And they've got lots of different grades, so you can get something that's much darker or something that's really super pale if you're a little bit nervous about stepping your toe into the world of self-tan. But really great. Love the formulations. Thank you, ladies, very much for giving that to us. The other thing that, of course, we were absolutely loving, and they've come with me in my travel bag to the Lake District, is by Sarah. Wasn't that such a wonderful live? Those of you who watched us live on Tuesday, by Sarah London, absolutely brilliant. I was using this last night, the Bakuchiol Sleep. My skin is a little bit sensitive at the moment. I think I've just been a bit too stressed by stuff that's going on at the moment, and it's making my skin react. So really enjoying the Bakuchiol, the vitamin C and E, which I'm using as a serum in the morning. And of course, they're award-winning the Hero Facial Oil. Very good for super sensitive skin. So even people, you know, who've got issues with rosacea, for example, go and check out their website. Really lovely, lovely brand, and a very heartwarming female founder story based on two sisters and quite an extreme skin condition caused by leukemia and the chemo treatment for that, which all ended very well, I'm delighted to say. Now, just before I go, some really interesting news I want to tell you. I have linked up with a travel company to do our first ever Liz Earle Wellbeing trip abroad. And of course, we're heading to Italy. I mean, just land of all good things. So you may have spotted the fabulous retreat that is already in, I think we put it in the magazine. It's on the website. Go and take a look, lizearlewellbeing.com. It's 3 days of amazing pampering. It's an incredible spa in the most beautiful city, which is near Bologna, which is a beautiful part of Italy. It's called Palazzo di Varignara. And we're going to have a gala dinner with fabulous cocktails and mocktails. We've got an amazing mindful lunch. We've got their head of wellness who's going to be with us. They've got an incredible spa that's got thermal water showers and cold icy waterfalls and just so much stuff. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. I, of course, am going to be there. I'm going to be hosting a workshop. There's going to be quite an extensive Q&A on all the things that I've learned over the years. Well, I mean, not all of them, but so many of them to do with, you know, mental health and fitness and gut health and menopause, of course. So it will be your chance to really connect one-to-one. Places are quite limited, but if you'd like to join me, go to lizearlewellbeing.com/Bologna, and that gives you all the details. And I know that several of you have signed up, and I can't wait to go, and I can't wait to see you. It's going to be absolutely amazing. All right, my lovelies, really nice to be here with you. Don't forget, tomorrow is Friday, so we do have the newsletter that's going live. That comes out at tea time, but you've got to be in it to get it. So make sure that you're signed up to that. That's the editorial weekend for the newsletter for the weekend, jam-packed with recipes and ideas, links to podcasts, so many great things. And of course, the brand new episode of the Liz Earle Wellbeing Show podcast, which is also just about to be released. So I hope you enjoy that. Lots of nice freebies and treats for the weekend. I'll be back with you here live on Tuesday. not here in the Lake District. I'll be back home for that. But we're going to be talking about gut health and immunity. So another deep dive into a fascinating subject. That's it for today. Sending lots of hearts. Thank you so much for all your lovely comments. Lovely to have you with me. Stay with me. Head over to Liz Earle Wellbeing, sorry, not Liz Earle, me, rather, on Instagram, because I'm going to be popping my little travelogue on my stories. And you can see what I'm getting up to here at the Lake District, which will include a bit of this. So I'm off now to get changed. And I shall see you again very soon. Thanks for being with me. Have a great day. Bye.